this computer. Hey, hi, and welcome to Simon Heals. My name is Simon, and today, this morning, I'm really delighted to invite my good friend Alena onto the chat with me. And Alena, I would love to also include your surname, but I'm not sure I could pronounce it correctly. So if you could introduce yourself with your full name, that would be amazing.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I am Alena Rudkouskaya, and I don't expect many people to pronounce my surname. It's a challenge, I understand. Although where I came from, it's a typical Russian name, or Russian, Belarusian, Polish, along this name lines. So thank you so much, Simon, for having me in this interview series, I guess. It's a pleasure to talk with you.
Absolutely, yeah. And we were just starting a chat offline before I hit the record button, and it's already started to become quite interesting. So so I thought, let's hit the record button. We haven't really got anything specific planned for this chat. But every time you and I meet, we've been kind of meeting online now for the last month or so. We met on an online course, which has been put together by Mark Atwood. I'm going to leave a link for Mark's channel below, because I really recommend his channel. It's one of the few channels that I kind of tune into regularly. And so we met on that course and we started connecting. We're both healers, though I think, certainly for myself, it's not really a word that I like to use too much.
Healer is misnomer, right?
It is. It's a way of communicating what we do, I guess, for me. But you know, one of the first things that I teach when I'm teaching Reiki, for example, is there's a quote by Osho, and the quote goes something like, a healer. There's a motorbike starting up next door. I'm in Thailand, so everyone starts their motorbikes up about this time in the morning to set off for work. I'll just wait for him to go. Okay. So so this quote by Osho is, a healer is not really a healer because he is not a doer. Now we've got the motorbike again.
He's not a doer.
Sorry, I'm just waiting for this motorcycle to go next door. Okay. So yeah, the healer is not a healer because he is not a doer. Healing happens through him. To be a healer really means not to be. The less you are, the better healing happens. And yeah, so that's a quote that I always start the Reiki course with, you know, just to kind of dispel that idea that we are healers, we are channels through which the healing happens.
That's true. But the channel is kind of already used in other dimensions. Yes. And the word facilitator would be accurate one. Yes. It's a mouthful in the, needs some time to be introduced and, get familiar in this context. time. No, currently, yes, we have to be healers for
it's as I say, it's a way of communicating, isn't it? What we actually do. I like the word facilitator. Actually, in Reiki, because Reiki has this Japanese heritage, we also use the metaphor of being an empty bamboo. And then the more empty we are, then the better that healing happens. And what fills us is our ego. So I don't know if you can hear this, but this motorbike is going backwards and forwards outside.
Well, yeah, it's definitely there is noise, but not too bad.
Okay, he's gone now.
Hear.
Yeah, the thing that fills us is our egos. It's our sense of self, which isn't necessarily, it's not necessarily a bad thing. We need to have that sense of self to operate in this kind of dimension, this reality. But as healing channels, we need to put that aside and then allow that healing to happen through us. So that's kind of my understanding.
Oh, definitely. The
Yeah.
conception of being an empty bamboo or empty bone, it's very essential. And in fact, this is something that comes to mind when you brought this question quite in your recent videos, like a detachment from your expectations. This is so true. This is so relevant because if we, well, I'm gonna use word want regardless. If you want something so badly, like to heal ourselves or somebody else, this mere desire, it's just doesn't work. The more it's like what you resist persists. You have to embrace, I guess, and let it happen. Be curious,
No,
it's different.
Absolutely, Alena, and this is why on a few of my recent videos I've been getting into that whole kind of area of law of attraction and manifestation, because these are intrinsically linked with our health, with our well-being, and really just kind of understanding that what we experience externally and also in terms of our physical bodies are mirrors back to ourselves of what's going on within us mentally and emotionally. And so just kind of connecting that back to what you were just saying is that when we're in that role of facilitating healing, and also when we're in that role of receiving healing as well too, we need to let go of our attachment to any particular outcome. And I think this is what you were saying. That's what I kind of got from it. And
difficult to get detached from the results.
Yeah.
Let go all the expectations. Sometimes it's almost impossible because people don't come to the healers just because out of curiosity. They come. They don't come to
Yeah, they come for a reason. Yeah.
This particular problem. Yeah. So Simon, what's your secrets? Well, not secrets, techniques. How to acquire this attitude of an empty vessel before you start your work? What's the best approach?
That's a great question. For me, meditation is really at the core of my life and my life experience. And meditation really is the practice of becoming the observer, becoming the witness of self. And I remember when I started meditation practice about 16 years ago now. And not the very first time I sat to meditate, because probably like most people, the first time I sat to meditate, my legs were hurting and my mind was all over the place. And I'm thinking, what am I doing? What's the point of this? And all blah, 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 that was going on. But at some point, somewhere along the line with the meditation practice, I had a real kind of aha moment, which was, because we were being taught, I was taught meditation in the Buddhist tradition. So we were being taught to sit and observe our breath, just to observe our breathing. And at some point, I realized that if I'm observing my breathing, and I'm observing my thoughts. It was more the observing the thoughts, actually, the breathing. But if I'm observing my thoughts, then I'm not my thoughts, because there's I that's observing my thoughts. And that was a real kind of, as I say, a kind of light bulb moment, a real enlightenment moment. And then really over time, with the practice of meditation, that space between the thinking and the observer that's thinking starts to become more and more part of the experience, or my experience of being, to the point really that I would say that my life is a meditation now. You know, we can bring that quality of meditation into everything that we do. And, you know, meditation is being present. It's being focused on whatever it is we're choosing to apply ourselves to in that moment. And it's taking out all judgment. So these are, I would say, like the three qualities of meditation, of mindfulness. I don't know, does that answer the question?
Well, yeah, meditation teaches us to be observer, to be, you know, to detach from our ego and the expectations and stuff.
Yeah.
The thing is, well, okay, you want to meditate morning or at night, whatever, but in the middle of the day, when your client comes, what do you do? Or it's a, like, you know, muscle memory to, you know, consciousness memory to acquire this state of detachment.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there is a real element of developing that as a way of being, you know, a muscle development, as you call it. So it's training the mind, for sure. There's definitely elements of that. I started off the journey of facilitating healing, as you call it, with Reiki. And Reiki is an amazing foundation on which to build. I think Reiki is a great canvas upon which to build your toolbox as a healer, as someone who facilitates healing. And there's a lot of kind of rituals in Reiki. It's quite ritualistic, which can be very useful, particularly when you kind of like start out on the journey. So there are rituals that are built into the practice of Reiki that really help us to get into this kind of no mind state, and this perspective of being that channel through which the healing happens. Yeah, and I still use those. Still, Reiki is still very much at the foundation. And you know, what I'd really like to hear from you, and just to kind of share also with anyone that is listening that might not have come across you yet, is about the healing modality, if that's the right word, but the approach to healing that you are offering. I had a session with you a couple of weeks ago, which was really wonderful, and yeah, just to hear more about that, because I get a sense that it's something that you've been developing yourself, and has in a way just kind of almost been given to you spiritually. So.
Oh, okay. Maybe before I go into explanation of what I have to offer in terms of healing, I have to step back and talk about a little bit my background, because it's quite unorthodox when it comes to the healing spiritual community. So the way I was raised and the culture where I was born into, and it was communist country, Soviet Union. So all this, the way, family issues, ancestral baggage, it all shaped me to use primarily my analytical mind, my left hemisphere. It's almost like my heart was shut down because of developmental trauma and kind of things. So I was pushed by life, basically doing science. It seemed right for me. It was logical to me because at the same time I was very, very interested in a healthy lifestyle, like what food we need to eat to maintain health and longevity and stuff. The psychophysiological processes that we have to watch out, these kind of things. And biology seemed to be the closest area, the closest science to fit my interests. Actually, my first choice was psychology, but it didn't work out for various reasons. So biology. I managed to defend my PhD degree in Minsk. I forgot to mention my country of origin officially is Belarus. So as soon as I got my PhD degree, we moved to the United States. But before that, the Soviet Union collapse happened, and at the same time, all this forbidden literature, all the spiritual teachings, all kind of good and not so good and accurate, everything was also available. And Russia and Belarus, I'm gonna use this words interchangeable because for me it's pretty much the same culture at least. So Russian people are basically one of the most reading nation in the world. In our culture, the first question, it's not unusual, at least back then, that when people greet each other, how are you, what are you reading? Instead of how are you doing, we ask, what are you reading currently? So this literature, oh my gosh, I've read so many things. It was so eclectic, Alena Blavatsky's lyrics, even Reiki was also somehow in the periphery of my interests. All kind of yoga, oh my God. Christian literature. And all of this was almost in desperate attempt to make sense of what I'm doing here, what is it for, what is the purpose.
So Alena, so prior to the kind of collapse of the communist regime, none of this literature was really available?
No.
Okay.
Now, the thing is that atheism was an official religion. So all kind of Christianity and the regular organized religion, well, I wouldn't say prohibited completely, although there was a period when it was all of these hierarchies, priests and stuff were persecuted, at least some of them. But it was greatly discouraged. And if a person had ambitions to go through the like ladder, bureaucratic ladder, social ladder, it was absolutely inconceivable to have some religious inclinations, at least publicly. This is the point. That's why spirituality, I mean, you can kill spirituality regardless. It always finds its way, but still, when it was cultured deliberately, it's really under radar. So I had an episode of frantic education myself, educating myself all things metaphysical, until we have to move to another country because of science, because my husband wanted better life for us, and who doesn't, right? We all wanted desperately to get out of this misery, because at that time it was this basically collapse, not only social, economical, ideological. It was such a, yeah, it was something that we are moving here collectively to collapse of every structures, political, social, and everything. It's actually such a nice analogy, looking what's unfolding right now in terms of propaganda, brainwashing. It's
almost
totalitarian.
Okay, so you see that what's happening over in America at the moment is in a way kind of mirroring
yes,
yeah,
it's a spitting image of communist regime, basically. And it makes me so sad. It makes me wonder how people don't see it. It's so obvious. It's so well, anyway, so once we moved to the United States, I was so busy building a new life. It was excitement of everything is new and interesting, and it was like living to paradise, moving to the paradise from that to here, and it took me a few years to get adapted, to get to free myself from horrible insecurity, so I could actually express myself more or less freely. It's not only language barrier, although it was also significant, but this inner fear of not good enough, unworthiness, like I have nothing to offer anything. That was most what's the right word? That what interfered the most with my ability to get involved with the society. And then yet another immigration happened to Canada, because we had issues with obtaining green card in the United States. We decided to hell with US. If you don't want us, we don't want you. We created the first on a paper, and then. But the thing is, I couldn't. Basically, I moved alone. I got my children, and I have to go all by myself because my husband wasn't able to find a suitable faculty position in Canada. And it was good time for me, tough times, but very good, because it was the first time when I could spread my wings, get out of the shadow of my brilliant genius husband, and do what I felt right to do. Not only science, but it was super fun. It was such an interesting project, and it went so well. It was so productive.
So you were, sorry, Alena, so you were in Canada with your children, is that right?
Yes.
So how many children do you?
I have three.
Three.
Yeah, but the oldest one was adult and was living on his own in Victoria, BC. Mm-hmm. So I only had the youngest one, a daughter, and the middle son. Yeah, it was quite traumatic for them to get uprooted suddenly.
How long ago was it?
How long?
how long ago was this that you were in Canada?
I lived,
And
yeah, we lived exactly 4 years, just enough to get eligible for citizenship. After that, we moved back to Albany, reunited with, so was another. Well, anyway, so the point is that by doing all these years science and doing quite well, I have to say, I just happened to be a good scientist, you know. I had another life. I had another secret passion for all things, well, spiritual, not like metaphysical. Do you see the irony of this? So all this doing science, like hardcore biomedical research, and have a, I mean, such an unusual for like hobby, let's say. So I came home and was doing all kind of research, involved in all kind of energetic development, the improvement online in Russian community. So, and along these lines, just before I moved, have to move to Canada a few months before, in the medical center where I worked at the time, like, accidentally I knew about Reiki program. So in the hospital there was such a subdivision. Nurses organized themselves to apply these energetic treatments on patients as a, auxiliary healing. So either Reiki or healing touch. And once in a while they held this Reiki attunement free of charge, just for the people working at the center, not necessarily nurses. So when I learned about it, I felt like I need to get this attunement. I just need. So I bullied the woman who ran this program, this facility. I bullied her into submission because the group was full. She tried to stop me, and she failed. And just okay, we'll figure it out, because it was supposed to be done in pairs. So I got this under my belt, and I felt such a, well, if not enlightenment, feeling of benevolence. It's like I'm ready to heal the world. It faded at the time, but the whole thing helped me so much. It was like a launching pad, really, for me to continue what I was always intended to do, but didn't know really how to.
So, excuse me, Alena, how long ago was this?
2006.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 15, 16, 17.
It's not like I practiced fervently. No, for me,
no, but
Reiki was like a spiritual tool.
It sounds like it just kind of opened you up to something, connected you to something.
It did.
That's what I feel with Reiki. That's for me what Reiki is about. Yeah. Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And so I didn't go far enough with Reiki training, really. I got a second degree, well, second step, but I never actually used as a healer. Only for myself, my children, friends, whoever was willing to. But a couple of years ago, like 3 or 4 years ago, I came across a totally different approach. It's called biofield tuning. It's a kind of a sound therapy, but very different from what most of the sound modalities offer, because it uses tuning forks, like literal hardcore tuning forks, specially designed to last long and to produce a much higher than average quality sound. And how the very once I was sitting in watching a series of interviews, and I heard Alena Rudkouskaya talking, and she's one of those charismatic people. Well, maybe it's not just her, but what she has to offer. This concept of tuning our biofield, like energetic substance surrounding us. And her story, how she came up with this idea, because originally tuning forks were used as a tool to tune up, to balance and improve chakra system. That's what solfeggio kit tuning forks were designed for, correct?
Yeah.
So Alena Rudkouskaya ordered this kit and started experimenting. She was working as a massage therapist at the moment. And she has extremely curious and research-minded personality and very intuitive at the same time. So she started experimenting with tuning forks on her clients. And she noticed suddenly that tuning forks changed their sound when she holds the tuning forks not only next to the body, but quite a few feet away.
Mm.
So she kind of sort of start mapping this biofield using tuning forks as a diagnostic tool, because a tuning fork sound changes when it interacts with our subtle energies, especially when this energy out of balance, especially when these energies present something like frozen, stuck, disturbances in the energy flow.
Yeah.
But what's more to it, this sound not only serves as a detection of these imbalances, but also as a therapeutic input, because our body intelligence perceives these imbalances and self-adjusts back to the factory settings, as Alena likes to put it.
Yeah.
So she was able to map all these features in the biofield anatomy, so to say. She discovered many interesting energetic structures, imbalances, if you will, that very consistent from person to person. Even if other practitioners try to do this, it's not like 100% accurate, but it's comparable. And I said to myself, this is my thing. Frequencies, oh my gosh, it holds such a huge potential on so many levels. And despite my scientific minded, actually it fits, right? Because I like frequency, I like dancing, I like music, and I like research. So this kind of sound healing modality is very suitable for my mindset, my personality. So this is basically my major contribution to the community as a biofield tuning practitioner. I don't have a formal training like certification because COVID, because I lost my job recently, and it's just inconceivable to go into expensive because it's quite expensive. But I sat through many courses with Alena. I ordered my kits, and I basically taught myself how to use it. And because Alena keeps repeating, use your curiosity. You don't have to be me. Find your own style, find your own way to do things. So I took her advice and developed my, sort of like invented from the scratch, but I started tuning people, myself, children, friends, clients.
So it sounds, sorry, Alena, it sounds to me like your kind of scientific mind met your intuition, and these two have kind of like come together.
Yes. It's not
So
like,
because also because you haven't done the certification, and then it's like maybe in a way that's encouraged you more just to connect with your own intuition in working with the force, would you say?
yes. Although intuition in this modality, it's not that vital, because twin forks are major tool, right? The sound of twin forks. And to interpret the sound, we don't need intuition. It's very helpful in terms of to detect what does it mean, what this particular imbalance, energetic imbalance, correspond to what age, to what situation. However, it's not necessary, because, first of all, this is a kinesthetic experience. It's vibration. So we can have sensations in the hand to detect what. You don't have to have perfect pitch to use this technology, right? And besides, we just facilitate this process, right?
Right.
The healing happens automatically. This is the beauty of it. So anyway, I found out that the physical presence not necessary, absolutely. Remotely, tuning works just as well, if not better. I'm using my Stargate pyramid for that purpose. This is my, you know it, right? I showed it before.
Sorry, Alena. So when you did the session on me a few weeks ago, did you use the forks?
No, that was different.
It
I
was
didn't use
different, wasn't
forks.
it? Okay, that's what I thought.
Still, yeah. I think you need to try this biofilm.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I do remember a conversation that we had, because I talked to you about sound healing. So I use crystal bowls for sound healing, which I definitely use very intuitively. Having said that, there's much of what you're talking about now, which I can really identify with and resonate with, in terms of my experience using the tuning bowls, how the sound of the tuning bowls can really change from person to person, and with each person in terms of where they are located, kind of relative to the physical body as well. So yeah, so I really get that. But I remember talking to you about what we could do together remotely, and I saying, well, I can do Reiki for you, we can do Theta Healing, we can do cutting cords, etc. I said, but I do sound healing, but I don't think that really works because the sound doesn't work very well across the,
it's not
with
just
the technology. Sound. And this is what you said to me. You said it's not just the sound, it doesn't matter about the distance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's some people, it's kind of hard to accept that we are not local, not only non-local, we are timeless, because this kind of remote healing sessions can be recorded with the intention that everyone who's hearing it right now in a live setting or like 5 years from now will get the benefits.
Yeah.
Because it's all works for the intention. Yeah. So with an intention that the hologram, the person in question, right here or right there, and I work with a construct.
Yeah.
And for that, the real like physical sound is not essential. It's
I totally get that.
Point.
Yeah.
So you can try this sound therapy as well.
Sure.
Remotely.
Sure,
we can try on each other and see how it goes.
We definitely should, and maybe what could be interesting in the future is we could do something together, recorded, that we can offer for people as well. But I'm just kind of being a little bit mindful of the time here.
Yeah, we should.
But so I mean, it's fascinating. I mean, your journey from communist Russia, where you're very much encouraged to develop your analytical mind, the left side of your brain, as you call it, and then the kind of collapse of communism, which freed up all this literature which you were so hungry for, and then and also allowed you to start to explore the other part of your brain, you know, to use the right side of your brain, and then coming over to the States and Canada, and how really these two these experiences and these two parts of your brain have kind of come together to make you what you are now, and
Yes.
to be able to offer the healing that you're offering now, that you're facilitating. Yeah, it's a fascinating journey.
Thank you, Simon. You summed up this really accurate.
Good.
Honestly, all this journey, all this looking desperately to find a way back to our true nature, if you will. It's mostly healing ourselves, isn't it?
Well, you know, this
Going
comes back to that. Well,
wholeness.
it comes back to that ultimate truth that we are all one, and everything is one. You know, and everything that we experience outside of ourselves is a mirror for what's going on inside of ourselves. You know, so oftentimes we're so busy trying to fix everything out there, and actually, it's just about bringing ourselves to balance. And so, getting back to the kind of start of our conversation as well too, about us as healers, as facilitators, as channels, whichever words we want to use, that even within the session, I'm still very much focused on myself. It's like, okay, where am I as a mirror for that person who's lying or sitting with me? What am I feeling within myself, and what's that telling me about that person? And so yeah, I've forgotten exactly where I'm going with that, but that, you know, that ultimate truth that we are one, and that energetically everything is connected. I think what I'd like to ask you is the question that you asked me. So when you're which is when you're facilitating healing with someone else, are you able to stay detached from the outcome of that experience? And if so, how do you do that?
Well, unlike you, I'm not that great meditator, and maintaining the stillness of mind and emptiness, it doesn't come easily to me. So I don't even try to apply this during my sessions. But I have to say that the sound of the forks, it's already kind of makes you in a state of trance, if you will.
Right. Yeah.
So it kind of and plus I set an intention before to be curious, to let it happen, to unfold whatever needs to be healed, because the truth is that biofield is really like multi-layered. That's why some more than one session usually is necessary to achieve some durable results in severe cases. And I noticed that even though, I mean, let's say I stay in the same spot and keep activating twin fork again and again, and even though initially the sound was balanced, the longer I stay, it so often happens that the sound gets again out of tune, meaning that I'm accessing something deeper layers, right? So, yeah, of course, it requires awareness. It's not like 100% out of this world now, but it does help to maintain this state of concentration and detachment, because all I hear is the sound.
Mm.
And somehow, again, by the grace of God and mind, basically, unlike the situation when I work with the real person, physical person, on a table or on a bed, when I sit and work with hologram, I basically make a command that the hologram is a conveyor belt, moves closer, closer, and closer, as long as I, clear up all the imbalances in the field. That's how it works. Somehow it does, I don't know exactly how and what happens at the moment, but I trust. I trust that that needs to be healed, will be healed.
Yeah.
And many times it's just that.
And it just does, and intention is really key. It's really everything, isn't it? You use the word intention and setting the intention as you go into the sessions, and trust and faith are also really key in this, and just kind of letting go of thinking that we need to know what's happening, we need to be in control, and when we let go of this, both in terms for our own healing and also when we are facilitating that healing, then this is when miracles really, really do happen. And and
so true.
Yeah, and it kind of getting back to what that quote at the beginning, the less we are, the better healing happens through us. It's like the more we get our ego selves out of the way, both in terms of receiving healing and facilitating the healing, then that allows for the grace, as you call it. And I love that word. I think it's completely appropriate. The grace of God, to flow and to do the work.
Yeah. Ego is not helper. It's process to gradually.
Absolutely. So we've been just about an hour. So, and I could definitely talk to you more and listen to you more. I think I'd love to experience the healing with the tuning forks. I've got some thoughts on how we could use that, which I'll talk to you about afterwards. So are you available for healing sessions?
Absolutely.
You are. Okay. So can you, sorry, Alena, can you give me some contact information, which I'll include in the comments below if people want to contact you?
Yes. Thank you so much.
Okay, great. And for your YouTube channel as well, you've got some fantastic material on there, just kind of generally around health and your perspective of health and how to be and stay healthy. And I've really been enjoying listening to those. So
I was doing health coaching, for many years. I realized just now it came into focus.
Yeah. So I mean, is there anything else that you'd like to share before we finish off?
I like to share. I have lots of things to share, but I think we should stop now. Thanks again, Simon, for doing this, and I will send you my information, and we will just arrange privately.
Wonderful.
By field tuning.
I really look forward to that. So yeah, no, thanks so much, Alena, and yeah, look forward to connecting with you again soon.
All right.
Yeah,
See you
take care.
soon. Bye.
Thank you.